Copy, make beats, not war. Yeah, man. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're starting it off right with the DMT Toad. He is there. We are here. What can I say? Today we have a very special episode of Make Beats Not War. Uh, let's start the show off right. Skinny Pablo here. We're going to all right, big news today. Big news on today's show. Some asshole, we just put a tweet out. Some asshole spilt wine all over our laptop. So it wasn't DMT Toad, and it wasn't anybody you know, but some asshole, huge asshole, spilt red wine all over the center of our streaming laptop. So if the stream starts shitting on itself midstream, or if it's even shitting on itself right now, please let me know. Actually, you know what? I'll know. Due to the lack of response and due to the lack of if everybody starts talking shit, we're already. Let's see. Speaking of the asshole that spilt our wine, he also poured us a glass of some red from Ferdinand Albarino. Very, very special episode today, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have on the line a very special guest today. He's worked with all kinds of people. He recorded Bob Marley live. We got Smokin' Vinyl. He probably is twice the age of anybody watching this show, if not at least 20 years older. So we're going to be asking him a lot of questions, gathering wisdom. And I know what you're thinking. It's like, Skinny Pablo, you have to start smoking weed. I know. We're getting to the weed smoking. That sucks. You know what? And we also misplaced our glasses. You know, despite the laptop spill, the great laptop scare of 2020, we're doing just fine. You know, we had a good day today, very lethargic. If you guys are wondering, why haven't you streamed, Skinny Pablo? Why haven't you been streaming? We actually have been streaming, but we streamed not on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, but we streamed on Instagram. So I'm thinking that we stream on Instagram. We've also been streaming really early in the morning, you know. It's not like we're trying something new. It's just like, Skinny Pablo's up at 5 in the morning, 3 in the morning. It's like, why not just fucking start making beats? Like, what does he have to wait for the time? He has to wait for 9 p.m. every night? So, fuck all that. Blah, 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 blah. So, I figure maybe we start the night off by, let's see, it's 9:05. We could probably make a reggae-style beat before we get on the line with Danny Holloway. So, what is required of a reggae-style beat? Drums, bass, and rhythm section. That is probably the most important. So, how about we start this episode off by creating a rhythm section with a redrum drum computer, as we got right here. We normally play things out, but I think sometimes sequenced beats are cool, you know? Also, Skinny Pablo is going to be participating in, if you don't know about the show Westworld, there's a Westworld scoring competition right now to rescore a scene of Westworld from the HBO hit series. It kind of got really boring. You have to score a scene that is boring as shit. It's like one of the worst car chase scenes of all time, but they're requiring if you want to enter the competition, you got to score this movie or whatever this episode, 4 minutes. You got to make it outstanding. So I figure, Skinny Pablo will go in, do a little bit different, something. Everybody's putting cinematic shit on it. Wow. Or like a lot of A lot of everybody's trying. I watched a couple submissions. They're all sounding like Hans Zimmer. It's like, man, fuck Hans Zimmer. What did Hans Zimmer ever fucking do for you? You know, like they're just out here making beats like Hans Zimmer. That's what I consider all these compositions. It's just beats, you know. It's like nothing fucking special. Like what you're going in doing some sound design. Come on, buddy. And it's taking 5 hours to do it. Fuck all that. Fuck all that shit. All right, let's hear. So we're gonna be participating in that. We're hopefully making something cool, something in our style. Because what? Why the fuck would they? Why would J.J. Abrams? So we got all-star studded cast of people watching the show, and not the show, of people participating in that. It's pretty much a beat battle. Judges, we got J.J. Abrams, we got the composer from Westworld and the other HBO show that's really popular, Game of Thrones. Guy that created the theme song. So those people are going to be judging it. So maybe tomorrow we'll work on that for you guys. But right now, we're going to be making some reggae. Yeah. Shh. All right. That's a good snare. That's a good hi-hat. That's a good snare. All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it all together. All right. Here we go. All right. Making the reggae rhythm. Here we go. So creating reggae rhythm. One thing we're gonna have to do is add a cool little filter right here. Mind you, Danny Holloway's gonna be calling in. We're gonna say we'll call him. We're not calling. He'll call in about the next 10 minutes. So we're waiting on the call. Here we go. All right. Yeah. All right. Doing some drum design. Doing a little bit of drum design. Yeah, Smoke and Scan is going crazy today, ladies and gentlemen. Yogi Diesel talking about Smoke and Scan. Don't forget, Smoke and Scan. See, the thing is, these motherfuckers are on the 101 freeway in Los Angeles, stopping traffic, doing all kinds of shit. It's kind of horrible. It's kind of silly. Is it? No, it's not silly. Get out there, man. Fuck what they did to that dude. Fuck the cops. At the same time, what are we really supposed to fucking do about this issue, man? We got cops out there killing black people all the day, minorities all the day. Fuck it, they kill anybody, but there's a huge problem, racism in this country of the United States. Someone being from the island of Guam, coming here and just noticing that shit, it's kind of fucking insane, because I mean, everywhere you live, there's gonna be tension, man, racially, like it. But this is just kind of ridiculous. We got people dying in the street. That type of shit shouldn't be happening. I don't give a fuck. You're a piece of shit cop. Just be a piece of shit. Don't kill anybody, man. Like that's the best thing you can do. Don't kill anybody. We got people dying in the street and shit. Justice must be served. So, depending how they want to do it, man. Skinny Pablo got no problem. So we're gonna join that meeting. And we got this Yogi get a little anxious. Yogi, hold up, man. He's like, "Where's the stream been?" It's like, wait, man. We got fucking lives too. Skinny Paul's in the middle of finding a new apartment and shit. Like, what do you want from me? What do you fucking want? I gotta find an apartment. Gotta do all this shit. There you go. We got Yogi Diesel. Don't forget to join the Zoom room, the Bong Squad. I should just not even bring up any political shit, man. Like, fuck everybody. Mom told me mom called me today and she's like, "You should vote for so and so and you should do this." I'm like, "I ain't voting for nobody, bitch. Like, get that shit the fuck out my face. I ain't voting for nobody. And if you say that not voting is even worse than fucking voting for the wrong guy, fuck you, Skinny Pablo, do not vote. That is what it is. Let's listen to this reggae rhythm. Why would you put another man in charge of your life? A human. I feel like humans are not worthy to judge and other humans. I mean, actually, collectively, together we can, but if there's one person that is there controlling everything, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, who put your ass in charge, man? All these people? Fuck those people putting one guy in charge. I don't know how shit's supposed to work. I don't know nothing about politics, but all I know is that putting one guy in charge will surely fuck everything up. Let's make that beat. Make that rhythm. Make the rhythm. All right. Stop the war. All right. All right. So we're making a we're making a beat over here. Look, we got Yogi Diesel just sitting there. He's not even smoking the bong. He's like, oh, look, he's got the fucking bong just sitting there, not being smoked. So, to inspire this motherfucker, we're gonna have to smoke our bong. Hopefully he smokes the bong. Yeah, at least his bong is clean, ladies and gentlemen. It's cleaner than Skinny Pablo's over here. The bong is cleaner. I gotta pull out my phone. Let's see. There you go. Smoke that shit, man. What are you fucking doing? Yogi Diesel with the clean bong. Clean water. Is it cold water? Warm water? We can't hear anybody right now because we're waiting for the call from Danny Holloway. But this part of the show is brought to you by Bong Hits and Wine. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Look at Yogi Diesel. He's like, oh, I'm in the fucking chat and all that shit. Not even smoking a damn thing. He's got a fucking bong that it's not even packed yet. Doesn't he look like it's packed? Look, he's grinding the weed. It's not packed. This is fucking incredible. What kind of fucking circus am I running here? If you guys are out there, you're not getting high, not getting drunk, what do you want me to do? Okay, check it out. And before Danny Holloway comes on, I think we're gonna have to put on a reggae record from our reggae collection. So let's go dive into our reggae collection right now. We're gonna put a record on. Like, there's Yogi Diesel. He's packing the bowl. Pack that shit, son. Here, Yogi. We're gonna have Yogi Diesel take over my stream for like 5 seconds while I go grab this record. There he is. Alright. Oh. So today's reggae record that we're going to be listening to is an extremely rare one. We got Jah Thomas, a tribute to the reggae king, Bob Marley. There you go. Yogi Diesel, he's getting fucked up, getting high. Perfect. Just what we like to see from our viewers. So, we're going to put this record on and we're going to have Danny Holloway's going to call in. We said, we got some special things coming to rossview.com for you people. We got slip mats, we got some secret items that nobody's allowed to know about, except for Kurtz and DeBerg in our chat room. That's right. All right. So we got joints and bit burgers. Shout out to Yogi Diesel. Shout out to Vesna. We got Colton in the house. We got Omar Torres in the motherfucking house. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is just about time. Make sure you pack your bowl, pour your wine, all that shit. Because we're about to take it to another level over here. Another level being that we have some reggae music about to fucking play in the chat. Let's see. Speaking of reggae music, let's see. We got. Oh. You know what? The reggae isn't playing. Why isn't it fucking playing? Let's see. There we go. Now we got it playing. All right. So we're gonna give Danny Holloway's gonna give us a call. XKA Smokin' Vinyl. Let's get Smokin' Vinyl on the line, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna do this shit, find out a little bit more about life, a little bit more about love, and all that good shit. So here we go. Danny Holloway calling in. Keep on smoking, drinking. Thanks for calling in Make Beats Not War. This is Skinny Pablo. May we please speak to Danny Holloway, the legend?
Hold on a minute. Let me see if he's available.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting the legend on the line.
Hey, what's up?
Danny Holloway, Smokin' Vinyl.
One and the same.
One and the same. This is Skinny Pablo, aka Ross Dude, one and the same. What is going on, man? It is Wednesday, 2020. We're in the month of May. I think it's I don't know what day it is in the month of May, but I think we're approaching the end of the month. Rent is almost due. What is good, man? How are you doing?
surviving, getting by. I made a big mistake tonight. I thought that Postmates was meant to deliver food, and I ordered some food, and then they say, "Hey, it's ready for you to pick up." So I ended up getting a sandwich that cost me $35.
Wait, how did it cost you $35?
Because I live in South Pasadena, I had to get a lift to take me all the way to Old Town Pasadena to get the sandwich that Postmates should have delivered to me.
So, did they advertise as delivery?
What Postmates, in essence, is a site that delivers food to you. But when I made this order, what I didn't realize was, for some reason, it was for pickup.
Oh, wow. So, when you made the order, did they have a delivery option?
No, you basically what you do on Postmates is you create an order, you send it, and then they deliver it to you. I did all of that, but instead I got a notice that said, "Hey, the sandwich is available for you to pick up." So it cost me $35 for one sandwich.
And was the sandwich, did it feel like a $35 sandwich when you were
No, it
eating
was
it?
a no, not at all. But it was. I was surprised how good it was. It was a turkey sub, and it it was really tasty. It was really nice, but it was hardly worth $35. In fact, it was not a full length sandwich. It was like a 6 or 8 inch one.
What?
And
Okay,
then I
so
got and then
$35
I got
sandwich, was it fresh turkey or was it deli sliced turkey?
it tasted fresh, believe it or not.
Okay, okay. All right. What else came on the sandwich?
That I can't tell you. A lot of lettuce and some other things, but I didn't order specifically the things I wanted on it. Like for example, it didn't have mustard. I just took it the way that they make it.
Okay. What would you say? What did the sandwich cost online? Like advertised, they were like, "Yo, it's a $15 sandwich," or like
Yeah, I think it was like $14, something
14
like
bucks.
that.
But you did have to pay for the lift.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. And the sandwich, it was enjoyable, yeah.
yeah, it was a good sandwich. I was surprised. It's one of those chain places, Jersey Mike's. So I thought it's just going to be okay, but it actually was not bad at all.
Okay. Sorry,
Did you see?
we're
Did
ripping the
you
bong
see?
right now.
Did you see the news story today where the Black Black Matters people took over the Hollywood freeway?
Oh, the freeway. Yeah, yeah. We were watching a smoke and scan earlier on Twitter, and it looked like the freeway, the 101 freeway, was shut down. And I was like, it's a good day to like stay inside. Fucking
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Let me actually look it up. I'm looking up right now. Smoke and Scan is actually live. If you don't know about this show, it's like a show where this dude that we know smokes a bunch of weed in front of like five different police scanners, and he just monitors all the. He's like a fucking Batman. He
I've seen
monitors
it.
all the
I've seen
crimes.
it.
Yeah, in
I
L.A., and he
see.
just gets high every time like someone gets stabbed. He's like, "Well, time to take a dab," you know, or some shit like that. So
Guy
fucking
gets stabbed. Time to take a dab.
yeah, yep. Yeah, we were actually saw earlier a fucking cop ran over a dude, or he didn't run him over, but
Went
this
through the window. Holy shit!
this fucking this cop, they were breaking the cop's window,
Yeah.
uh, and fucking some dude was on the car, and the cop decided to keep driving, and the dude fell off the car and smacked the pavement, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like he everybody thought he was dead. He wasn't moving for a very long time, like falling off a car. But yeah, that's the type of shit happening out here in Los Angeles right now. Does it, with events like these, man? You've been around a long time. You were around during the LA riots. What was that like?
Well, I was around for the Watts riots in '66, and I was around for the uprising in '92.
So you've
And
been here for the Watts riot? What the fuck is that? I've never even heard of that shit. What happened
oh,
in the
it was
Watts
massive.
riot?
It was totally massive at the time. What basically happened was, I can't remember what sparked it at the very beginning, but it happened over by Central Avenue and Alameda and those kind of streets. But further down, what used to be a big entertainment area, for people of color, for African Americans and stuff like that. They'd have Ella Fitzgerald would go there, and the big bands would go there. So that Central Avenue scene was a really big one, and it was one of the only places in Los Angeles at the time where it was safe to publicly integrate, where you could date someone of another skin color and not really get harassed. But if you met somebody there and you got in a car and you drove across town, most likely you're going to get stopped by the cops. It was really racist back then.
Really? Wow. I mean, not really. I mean, that doesn't sound like a surprise. So, what would you be going to Watts for back in the day? Like music?
Well, see, it became called the Watts riots because I think that was where the most damage was done. But the Central Avenue area was affected heavily, and a lot of it was burned down. But and then it spread randomly throughout the city. People got in cars, and they were, wreaking havoc all over the city. Which, every once in a while, it needs to happen. You need to have some kind of a leveler where, if somebody's being mistreated on the daily basis for years and years and years, there has to be a reaction to that, and that's what happened. The Watts riots was just a reaction to all of the inequities that black people were going through at the time, and at the end of it, there was I don't know what the figures are, but a whole lot of LA. I think more of LA was burned down then than in the uprising in '92.
Wow. So 66, you're in Long Beach?
I was in Long Beach, yeah. I was 16 years old.
16 years old, and dating back. So you have the year 66. Just what was the spark? I mean, obviously racism, but was it something that happened in particular?
I think it was. I do remember that there was an incident between cops and black folks, but I can't remember exactly what it sparked. I'm not really a history expert, and my memory is failing me. But I think there was an incident like that sparked it, and then it became a huge thing. There was an expression that came out of that called "burn, baby, burn." That was used for a lot of years.
Burn, baby, burn.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
well, yeah, I think it was used in Disco Inferno, but that was later on. They took that expression and then turned it into a disco thing. But it was, that was kind of the theme for the uprising that took place in 1966. Was, hey man, if they're not going to treat us correctly, if they're going to try to, keep us submerged, then we got to do this. We got to burn it.
Wow. So they burned the city down, or like what?
Well, they burned a lot of it. Yeah, they burned. Unfortunately, they burned a lot of the black community, but of course, it got rebuilt, a lot of it. So I don't know how it worked out in the end, but I personally, I firmly kind of believe that if you want social change in a capitalistic country, especially one that like ours that worships the dollar so much, you have to burn banks. The minute you burn banks, they start to take notice of what you're saying.
In a bank, I mean, like, well, did they? So you're saying they burned banks down in '66?
I can't recall. My point of view is that's the most effective way to start a protest against the system is to hit them where it hurts. So, people in this country are relatively passive. We're docile. We're compliant, and that kind of sucks, because people in Italy and in France, and they've had a history of doing this, going back to right after World War II and stuff like that. If they don't like something that the government does, if the government tries to enforce a law or tries to, do something that they don't like, they go out in force. They start destroying shit, until there's a compromise reached. And we just sit back and wait, and we complain, and people feel they have the power of the individual of expressing themselves under the First Amendment and everything like that. It's like, man, come on, I don't think right now at this particular time in history we're being outmanned by money. The power is with the super rich, and they're keeping everybody else under their thumb. So that's what's going on right now here in this country is, the rich people, upper class people, the wealthy people, the corporations are they're making their power moves and taking over society. And then Trump wants to be a dictator, So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point he puts us all on, whatever that's called, when there's like high alert and everything like that. The National Guard comes in. I think that's what he would like to have happen, because then he can take over as a dictator.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Shit's getting crazy. Like, I have this alarm on my phone, and I don't know why in particular, but it only tells me the news. Like, it's an alarm that wakes me up and tells me the news in the UK, in, like, the United Kingdom, right? Every morning at 5:30, it's like this British robot that tells me the coronavirus and this and that, and it's like saying like all the new rules. It's telling me what's going on in England, and it's like, holy shit, like I think in Europe, it's just like weird. It feels like a kind of international, that new world order shit right now, where everything is locked down. It's not even just Donald Trump. It's like he has an agreement. He probably paid off a bunch of motherfuckers to be like, listen, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna fucking close your country down. I have enough money to fucking just give you to live, and some crazy shit like that. Where they're psyching us out right now. They might be psyching us the fuck out.
Yeah, they definitely. Well, see, they've taken away your standard of living. That's the first thing they did. They chopped you down to the knees. They just go, okay, so you used to your life being comfortable. Well, and now we have to deal with the pandemic and all this other stuff. But this is all in preparation for the next thing that comes, which is, the majority of the population being on their heels, and how it gets like that is when you have kind of like overpopulation or strong density of population, then the individual becomes less important in that environment, especially the people with power and money and stuff like that. If there's fewer people, like in the 50s and 60s and 70s, they're talking about every company had strong quality control, or else they went out of business. They used to always tout that the customer is always right. So if the customer complained, they put it straight. The customer always got taken care of. That shit went away, dude. Shit went away like in the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. And now you're lucky to get a fucking answer from if you're trying to come up with something that you purchased or one thing or another. You're talking to you don't get to talk to a person. You're talking to machines, and it's crazy, But that change that happened is due to density of population. Now they don't care. They used to work real hard for brand loyalty, so you purchase their brand again. Now they don't care. There's so many people out there that if you don't buy it, somebody else will. They don't worry about you.
Wow. That's to be the business model of many these days, not that of rossdude.com. That's why this conversation is brought to you by rossdude.com. You enter the code KIWI, Kiwi, all caps. You get 15% off every order. But, yeah, man, so, you've been around a long time. Have you ever experienced a time like this?
No, nobody has.
I mean, not being in lockdown, but something that is like, because for me, I feel like it was a 9/11 that kind of just changed the way that life is. You know, like have you
Well,
experienced
yeah,
something where it's like,
you know,
holy shit, we're going
9/11
through some shit.
9/11 happened in one place. It happened, well, it two places. It happened in New York and D.C., but and this is worldwide, and it's getting everybody. This is affecting everybody, everything. But yeah, there hasn't been anything like this. Believe me, there hasn't been anything like this. And during my lifetime, certainly, and then going back before that, the whole of the 20th century, I haven't heard about or read anything about anything like this. This is crazy.
I mean, didn't you experience, like, you were around for when, let's say, JFK got assassinated?
Yeah,
Wasn't that something that was, like, pretty shocking? Like,
it
almost
was.
like
It
this
was. It was a national tragedy because
in the
you know
Vietnam
we
War, and
we see what happened was politically we were very conservative after World War II. Eisenhower became a president in the 50s, and he was a general, a war general, and a Republican. So, that's a very conservative Republican kind of regime that was in at that time, and so the times were very, very, very boring. And what
This
JFK
past
brought
Thursday,
was
America.
a promising future, like let's make America great, and that type of thing. And he was, he had a lot of, he wanted to take care of the social conditions and work to make opportunities equal toward everybody in the population, everything like that. And, I was saying to somebody earlier today, we were talking on the phone, and there was two heroes. I mean, the horrible thing about the history of this country is the good guys always get killed. The bad guys rarely get killed. But in the 60s, the two most influential people in terms of public opinion were JFK and Martin Luther King. Those two guys, they influenced the way millions of people thought.
and they both got fucking murked.
Yeah. And even JFK's brother, who was running for president at the time he got killed in '68, he was also another kind of positive light, toward the future and stuff. But all of our guys, all of our heroes, all the people that are leading toward a better world, they get cut down, and then the scoundrels, those ones, they're allowed to keep going.
Interesting. So you were growing up in Long Beach at the time when JFK got assassinated. So what was that like?
Yeah, I was 13. I was in 7th or 8th grade, and I found out about it when I was going to lunch. So when I reached the cafeteria, there was somebody crying on the steps of the cafeteria, and people were gathered together, and they looked somber and stuff like that. So I knew something was going on, but I thought it was something to do with our school. I thought maybe somebody got in a fight or something like that. And then, the word spread, you hear someone got killed and then, the reality was the president had just gotten killed. And even us as kids, basically 12 to 14 years old is what middle school is kind of what the age that was covered at that time. And we're all heavily affected, dude. Like, it didn't come from our parents. It came from the exposure we had to Kennedy, like by seeing him on TV and stuff like that. And I mean, out here in California, he was very, very, very loved. I'm sure it was different in different parts of the country, because the South has always been extremely conservative, and they're very reluctant to jump out of that. But in California, it was like somebody killed our dad. That's what it was like. Like, everybody was upset, really, really, really upset.
What
All ages.
the fuck? So that would be like someone killing like I don't know, wow, okay.
Who do we have now
That's
that's
I don't
a
even know.
beloved?
See, I can't even list somebody that's
What,
like that
that's what I'm
big.
saying. We don't have a beloved person in society. It doesn't even have to be a politician. Do we have a person that
Do we
you know?
have
I
someone
can't.
that everybody loves? That's like
Yeah,
no, because like
yeah,
right now people like think it's like okay, there's a guy that everybody likes, but then like there's a whole group that everybody hates and hates that dude, and it's like I don't know, man. I don't know what the fuck to think. Question. This is a
yeah.
question. Have you ever voted in your lifetime?
Oh, sure.
Who did you vote
Yeah.
for?
Well,
Is that appropriate to ask?
no,
I don't know nothing about.
I don't have a problem, you know, because voting basically it comes down to a philosophy. You know, some people will vote for a candidate that they pretty much know they're not going to win, but they love their platform and they're only going to get 4% of the vote. I tend to go the other way. Like I'll kind of vote for a modest guy, a moderate guy who's in the middle, if because I think he may have a stronger chance of winning. You know, the people that decide. This is how it usually goes. The people who decide who's going to become president in this country are um, the people in the middle ground. They go a little bit to the left sometimes, a little bit to the right sometimes. They just want to see the right thing happen. Those people who are basically hardworking and stuff like that. And so, if I see a candidate that I think will appeal to those people, I'll excuse me, and they have a civilized platform, then I'll vote for that person. You know, I
Well,
voted for Bernie. You know, that was the last election a few months ago. I voted for Bernie, but he didn't make it. You know.
yeah. What a shame. I don't know because I've never voted in my life, so I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. I feel like for me it doesn't. Listen, man, I'm from an island where we can't even vote, but we're part of the United States. It's like, why
Yeah.
the fuck should I even vote? Fuck you guys. You didn't let me vote before. What's the point?
Well, if you take the perspective of that, of someone that's from outside the continental U.S., then
It's like I'll vote for
if you look at
myself
our,
before I vote for any of these motherfuckers. You know?
I know, but what I'm trying to say is, if you look at what we offer and how our system is run, I mean, how I would feel if I was from outside this country is it's the same fucking thing. The Democrats, the Republicans, they're all taking money from corporations. They're all letting the corporations write the rules that regulate them. Uh, Netflix doesn't pay tax. Uh, Jeff Bezos doesn't pay, and Amazon they don't pay tax. It's like, how can that happen? How can some one of the most profitable companies in the country, in fact, Amazon is I think the most profitable company in the country. How can they not pay tax? But they just pay off politicians.
I don't know, man. See, what we gotta figure out is like, how do we do that? You know? It's like I don't want to fucking pay taxes, motherfuckers. Like, fuck that shit.
Well, see, I would love for people to think along those lines and create an alternative to the the the, the established structure, you know, but because the drastically needs to be changed. Washington is completely corrupt. I don't know if the one president idea works. You might need to think about it. Three people, one that oversees foreign policy, you know, and split the duties up like that, as opposed to one dude being in charge of the whole thing. Uh, that and if you ever, you know, if you ever see these pictures before and after, the guy goes in, no gray hair, he comes out looking like 20 years older, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Being president sucks and all that shit. Well, what about the '93 riots, man? What were you in Los Angeles during that time?
Yeah, that happened in April of '92, and April 29th was, I guess, the big day, and Yeah, I was here for that. I had some rappers signed to me. I had my own little label at the time. I was going up and down to South Central every day to work with the rappers and stuff like that. And so when it happened, it was one of those things that kind of happened in the morning, I believe, like 10 or 11 in the morning, and then it just kept getting more and more out of control as the day went on, and it spread to other parts of the city. It came up to the Beverly Center. I know that some guys were running through the Beverly Center, and so that's about as high uh, as I remember it coming. But I got in a car. I went down to World on Wheels, which is down by Pico, and it's like the borderline of the hood or whatever. And there were people running around looting that shopping center, and I don't know if there were any fires at that time. From the 10 freeway, if you were to drive on the 10 freeway during the uprising in 92, you could see the big, large plumes of smoke from about 10 or 12 different spots in the hood where it was burning down. And then there was a lot of looting in Koreatown too. There were owners of the stores. They decided that I guess they had like a some kind of businessman's union or whatever something, because they all the owners got on top of the roofs of their business with rifles, and they weren't going to allow their stores to be looted. They're going to kill people.
Yeah. So,
But there were, for example, the Far Side. The Far Side, as in terms of an opportunity, they were able to go get all brand new equipment for their group during the riots.
what do you mean by looting?
Yeah.
Ooh. So back then it's like, fuck it, let's just loot and just like break into this warehouse and take a bunch of shit.
Yeah, it was one way of getting the tools you need to make the music you want to make, so that they took advantage of it. And you know there were a few people that did that music people that thought, normally I don't have the money to get this equipment, but today I can go down and pull it out of that store.
Wow. Interesting. That's fucking crazy. So that was
Yeah,
90.
dude, but that's why I prefer to use the word uprising. Uprising means it kind of gives credence to the fact that there was a reason, a purpose for it happening. It wasn't these crazy people from the hood that decide to burn down our city or something like that. It wasn't. They were victims, and the victims got tired of being victims. That's basically what happened.
The uprising happened.
Yeah.
All right. So, so growing up, was there anything else crazy? Like, okay, so there's nothing being like this for you before that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
didn't experience any major wars or anything like that.
No, I ducked and dived around the war. When I was a teenager, they wanted me to go into the Vietnam War, and I offered in a succession like 3 different reasons why I shouldn't go. So the first one, I think I said I was kind of loopy because I flipped out on acid, and I had a hospital record to prove that happened, and they didn't go for that. And then I went. I can't remember what the second one was, but the third one that got me out was it was a conscientious objector thing.
There you go.
And my
grandfather
grandfather was a preacher, right? And then my dad signed a letter that said that I'd never been in a fight. I'm not a violent person. I don't believe in war or fighting. And so I went before a tribunal of older men, and they let me off. I just got lucky.
Okay, so you were conscientious objector.
Right.
And that's what you said.
Yeah.
So how do you tell them that Fuck, you know what I just realized is that I didn't post this shit on my website, but it's all good. I'm doing it right now.
What stuff are you talking about?
I don't know, man. Fucking. So, what are you listening to these days?
Oh man, you know that I'm not really listening to that much. Sometimes I go through periods where there's music going on inside of me, and some of that music is like kind of made up, and then some of it's some of the tunes that I like. So I know that I've had girlfriends in the past that they love music, and they all the time they're at home, they're playing music the whole time, and they go, "Why is it that you work with music but you don't listen to it?" You know, and it's because it's going on inside me. I got like a radio station inside me, and that I'm, constantly being driven by tunes. So sometimes I listen to tunes externally, and a lot of times it's going on inside of me. But I'm always looking for good new music that's from now, that's from the present. But I'm not very good at finding it. I don't really find much that interests me. So I'm always going back. I'm trying to find tunes from the 70s and 80s from around the world that nobody's ever heard before, or that maybe never reached the U.S. yet and stuff. And those are the kind of records I'll put out on my the label I got called Eximino.
Yeah. What's your What would you consider your dream record?
Dream record. You mean a record that already exists?
No, just like a record that you want to exist. Like, what's the record that you're like, oh man, like it'd be so cool if a record like that was made, like something that's never been done.
I kind of like the world of edits and stuff like that, where you take those disparate styles of music and clash things together. So, you know, uh, let's just say the Jamaican thing. I've always liked Jamaican music since the early '70s, and worked with it and all that kind of stuff. So whenever there becomes these hybrids, uh, I like some of that stuff. Some people take that Jamaican music and they turn it into something that's a hybrid of Jamaica. Jungle, for example. And that's a they take the some of the flavors from Jamaican music, and then they put it to these hyper fast beats and powerful productions and stuff. So I'm always interested in stuff like that.
So some kind of like Jamaican influenced record that's meant for uh the dance floor to get cracking.
Yeah, you know what? Let's just put it this way. When I go to Hawaii, I'll listen to some of the Hawaiian music there.
Do, do you like Hawaiian music?
Dude, I always find individual tunes and stuff like that I like. Like, they're usually like the kind of like holiday reggae. Like, they're kind of poppy, they're kind of pleasant.
It is,
stuff
right?
like that.
I kind of grew up on that shit. Like, there's this band that came to the island of Guam back in the day called they're called Ukla the Mock. The Moke. Ukla the Moke. Like a moke is like a Hawaiian motherfucker that's like all like super Hawaiian. You call them a moke instead of it's like loke with the M. And there's this band called Ukla the Moke, and like yeah, it's just like really stony, pleasant music. It's like unusually pleasant. It just makes you feel really good, but it's like stony at the same time. It's crazy the way they sing and shit over there.
It's time really for people to emerge from those scenes. From I've heard tunes, Hawaiian tunes that could have been big pop hits in America. Could have been on pop radio and been really popular. But at that time, there was no machinery for that to happen. There was no way, it would take a big label to put money into it to get it played on the radio in order to make it happen, and nobody was doing that. So small labels in Hawaii were putting out pretty good quality releases, and the only people buying it, I'm guessing, were in Hawaii.
Yeah, man. Back in Guam, we would fuck with the Hawaiian music, like other like Pacific Islander music, you know.
Right.
You know, you'd find out it's like, oh, these guys in Hawaii are dope, and like we'd have like some guys move from Hawaii over to Guam because I know a guy that moved to Guam because he got this chick from Guam pregnant, and he was from Hawaii, and they were like out in Hawaii together. Then he had to move to Guam and start a band, you know, and he was from that scene where he knows all these like dope, like weird, like rootsy Hawaiian music.
Yeah, you know, here's the thing, like
It's
with
it's like really festive music though.
yeah, you see, I'm not like I say, that if it's good, I embrace it, dude. Like I'm not coming from an angle of, oh, it has to be pure, it has to be roots, it has to be this, it has to be that. But a lot of people in like Jamaican music are like that. Like they have a very strict idea of what Jamaican music should be, and you know, and they're prejudiced. They want to hear it from Jamaicans or one thing or the other. But I'm just not like that. You know, I love Jamaican music when it's good, and I love songs from France when they're good. You know, if somebody plays Swedish reggae and it's good, you know the tune Troy, the hip hop tune called Troy. They reminisce over you.
Not at all.
nice and smooth, I think it was. Well, there's a German.
Oh yeah, they reminisce.
Yeah, exactly. That tune right there. There's the illest dub version of that from Sweden, and it only came out in Sweden.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, to me, I could see that being the future of music in a way, is to have more balance, like an art chart, to have more people coming from other cultures. I'd just like to see more of that. More. I'd like to see us being more aware of cultures around the world, because they're aware of us. They know who we are, but we don't know who they are. So I think it's important for the U.S. to embrace other countries, and you know, you can learn from other people. I'm telling you, other people says that's what everybody that travels will tell you, that, you know, that we have our status quo here, and if you don't leave here, that status quo is all you know. You know, you've already gone from Guam to here, and wherever you go, you can compare the status quo. You know, but people that don't travel, they're kind of narrow focus because they only know one status quo, and that's what they call normal. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, today I fucking went to I'm on a apartment hunt right now, and I fucking went to an apartment today, and I checked the place out, and I was just asking the guy a few questions, and I was like, yo, what's up with the spot? How long you lived here? He's like, oh, I lived in Glendale my entire life, never left. I was like, what the fuck? Like, you've never... What? Like, that sucks. Like, Glendale fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's cool, but...
my family... two people in my family had a punk rock record store for 25 years that was very, very successful. Like, it was one of the most unique record stores in California, and but they would not move. That, like, you know, when I came back from England and they started the store, I suggested, well, why don't you start one in Los Angeles too? You can have your main one down in Long Beach. You can have another one up here in LA. And my mother kind of ran that business. She never ever would. Nobody else in my family ever left Long Beach. They stayed there their whole lives. But I had to go somewhere, you know. So I ended up living in London for 5 years.
London. Okay, so rewind back to London.
Yeah.
You move out there.
You say cold?
You move out there and then you get married.
Yeah.
You got married out there how many years into London?
Well, I met my wife within 3 weeks of arriving in London. She was the person that over, like a building manager. So she looked after the building that I lived in, and so we started to have a relationship, and then that led to a marriage. And she had 2 kids already, and she had just recently left her husband, and we ended up hooking up. And then at the age of 20, I became the head of a family of 4, and that lasted until I was in my 40s. So um, it was a unique way to, to navigate things and stuff. I mean, there was a lot of pressure on me at a young age to earn money to feed everybody. But my wife had a couple of jobs. She had the job of looking after being the building manager, and she also did some waitressing. So, we just pooled our money, and I was allowed to pursue being a music journalist, and that eventually paid off. So everything worked out in the end.
So what would make you get a divorce though if it was like really chill and shit?
Well, it's hard to say, but my wife was 11 years older than me, and we were heading toward that kind of slow and easy, going off in the sunset kind of uh, um, retirement type of vibe, And I wasn't ready to do that. Like, I still wanted to, be provocative and still do new projects and move on to doing new things and stuff like that. So, after we got divorced, I ended up, like 5 years later, I ended up deciding I wanted to DJ. So, if I was with her, it would have seemed like a ridiculous idea. I probably, I just, I don't think it. I wanted to reinvent myself. In other words, when I was in my early 40s, I wanted to reinvent myself, and I don't know. I had nothing but love for my first wife, and I didn't. The thing that I hated doing, I did not want to hurt her at all, but I had to move on in order to pursue, uh, like like I said, reinventing myself so that I don't know. I went through when I was in the early '90s. I kind of went through a hip hop university type of thing where I hung around with young guys in their 20s, and I learned the history of beats. I learned the 4 elements. I went to a lot of underground hip hop shows, all this kind of stuff, and so that was kind of like a crash course in what what this music today is kind of rooted in. A lot of it's kind of rooted in those years.
Underground hip hop. What year?
Yeah.
What years were you? What
92,
year?
93. 92, 93 were the real strong ones for me. I I had a radio show on the air. I had my own label, and I was very kind of active in those years. And then it went on for another couple of years. And then when it started getting jiggy, and the New York guys started to do videos in huge Mansons and Lamborghinis and all that shit, I wasn't into that. I was just into the more like the kind of the
The grimy shit.
yeah, in the flavor unit and all that kind of stuff. I like the more simple, conscious type stuff. That's what I like, the conscious shit. Also, another thing that I liked that emerged around that time was Kool Keith, who kind of invented abstract rhyming, and so that was another kind of big thing at that time. It ended up influencing, I think, the
Freestyle Fellowship and other local acts around here were very much into the abstract thing. And Tribe Called Quest was into it, and a lot of other people. But Kool Keith was, one of the main innovators behind that. So yeah, there was just it was another time, dude, another fresh time, another time of movement. 92, 93 is now called middle school hip hop, because you have the early stuff like the Message from the early 80s, then Tribe and Public Enemy and those kind of acts. They came along in the late 80s, like 88, or 86 or somewhere in there. And then NWA, they came around 87 or something like that. So, the 80s kind of swelled like that, and the music became more intense as it went along. And then after that came the more conscious era that we were talking about with Tribe Called Quest and Leaders of the New School and all those people. And that came in the early 90s. And that was a strong period, man. I tell you, in the early 90s, 92, 93, about 5 dope 12 inches came out every week, and historic ones that are still big to this day. So it was a real fertile time for music, and this underground hip hop thing, it did not require record company support. Record companies were chasing these guys who were putting out their own records, and they were selling hundreds of thousands of copies.
Wow.
I remember when Eric B. got signed to Island, an Island subsidiary called Fourth and Broadway. I was an executive at Island. I'm looking at the sales figures, and I'm going, at first I didn't know who Eric B. was. And I go, who's this guy that released a 12-inch last week and he sold 200,000 already, And it was one of those early ones, like I Ain't No Joke or one of those. And then the next one, there was 3 of them before the album hit. And then the next one after that sold 500,000 or something like that. And then I Know You Got Sold, I think it went as high as 1 million. 1 million 12 inches that were primarily sold in a tri-state area, And it was mammoth. It was huge, So
I Know You Got Soul, 1987.
See, that music preceded the Money era. The Money era really started with the Chronic and when albums started selling multi-millions and stuff like that. That's when rap blew up really, really big, and that also became the the music that identified a lot of people in LA. Like LA, that's the music that aligns people from the east side to the west side to the south of the city, whatever. That's street people music, the classic G-funk music and stuff like that. And like if you go to Hawaii and stand at an intersection, it's likely that a car going by is going to play some Hawaiian music, some reggae music, whatever like that. And in LA, that's going to be hip hop music. Stand on the corner in LA. I think it's changed a little bit in the last few years. Now we have the millennials. Millennials seem like they like dance music to me. I don't know whether I'm right or wrong, but they're not as heavily rooted in hip hop as the previous generation was. Because that generation was practically all hip hop.
Hip hop meaning just like on some street shit?
Well, hip hop becomes music. When you use that word musically, it's an all-encompassing term that I think that refers to underground hip hop, commercial radio hip hop, a lot of different things. So, what makes it different from other music is some guys talking over a track. It's not singing. But in Jamaica, they have sing jays, where you can't tell if the guy's singing or rapping. They're taking the line away, and now that's happening here. Some of the rappers are singing now at times. So, whatever.
Sing jays. So
sing jay.
yeah, a sing jay. I think what a definite proper definition of a sing J is someone that can rap in key,
Yeah.
in a key like
If you get Half Pint singing greetings from Jah, that part right there, the chorus sounds like a singer. But then he goes on and he's kind of rapping, so they kind of go back and forth between singing and rapping. Yeah.
yeah, kind of like the old dirty bastard of the Wu Tang Clan.
He
I,
certainly had his own
I,
style. Him and Biz Markie had their own style of singing.
but I can't say I've listened to Biz Markie, but I've listened to Old Dirty Bastard thoroughly, and I think I think he was one of those um, extremely unique motherfuckers. You know, which is good. Like that's why he's the best one of all time out of the Wu Tang Clan.
Yeah, I saw him one time. He
Wow.
wasn't. I don't think he was. He was on the bill, but there Prince used to have a club in downtown. It was on the
I've
edge of downtown.
I've been there. I've been there. They it's now owned by they throw like Chinese after hours there, but I used to go to the Secret Sesh. It was Prince's club off of Boylston,
Yeah, that's
overlooking
exactly the street.
downtown.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
that's
it was a
Prince's
very
club.
big space, and
It's huge. It's a crazy club, dude. It's crazy.
oh, dude, I used to go there every Wednesday. There was a thing called Jamaica House, and so the Fugees made their first appearance in LA there. ODB came out and he lifted his shirt up and started smacking his belly and just doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
I saw Tupac. Like one night there was all when a fight takes place and the floor is fully packed, everybody's standing shoulder to shoulder, and a fight takes place, then the crowd goes from one way to the other way. They kind of sway like that. And I saw the crowd doing that, and I thought, what the hell's going on? And it was Tupac's birthday. He was so small you couldn't see him. And eventually I saw him, and somebody said, oh, it's his birthday. And then that was the reason for the whole crowd kind of getting involved. It wasn't because of a fight. It was because Tupac was celebrating his birthday.
Crazy. So yeah, I've been to that club too, man. That's crazy. Like they nowadays they rent that club out to this weed smoking sesh, and they just and after hours and shit. And I once went to a Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournament that was like everybody was smoking weed. It was like the the only Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournament like that, you know, and like people were fucking doing that and just blazing and shit. A little bit. It was Prince's old club in
Yeah,
downtown LA.
yeah.
That's a cool spot, man.
I was sitting there one time in a booth, and I was really just kind of, checking people out as they were going by and stuff. And so suddenly there was this guy in front of me that appeared to be a giant, and so I looked up, and my head kept going further and further back on my shoulders, like it doesn't, it's not accustomed to doing that, So in order to see his face, my head had to go all the way back on, to my back, and it was Shaq. Shaq was walking through. He was a member of the Orlando basketball team at that time before he came to LA, and he went there. Like, dude, that place, it just had a real mixed crowd. you know. So you'd have some celebrities. You had a lot of street people there, which made it real. That was the good part. They knew what a good rap performance was and stuff like that. Then you had, I remember the lady that sang "No No No," that song, the reggae song. She made an appearance there. They had a lot of good artists there.
So you saw Shaquille O'Neal. What year was this?
Yeah, I saw Shaquille O'Neal back then, and I said Tupac another time. There was a club by Hollywood Boulevard in Vermont. It was like the underground hip hop spot for the Hollywood area people,
and it was called Lavacaro was the name of the night, and so you had to walk through the parking lot before you got to the front door of the club. And just before I got to the door of the club, there was this skirmish going on, and there was like people pushing each other and all this kind of stuff. And it was Tupac again. Like Tupac was a Gemini, so either he was extremely happy or he was extremely pissed off. So the night that I saw him at the Princess Club, he was extremely happy. It was his birthday, and when I saw him this time, he was not happy at all. He was trying to start a fight with somebody. So he was a pretty mercurial guy. And there was one more encounter that I almost had with him. I used to stop by this magazine store on Fairfax by Melrose, and you could get magazines from around the world and stuff like that. And I used to try to keep up with the music and stuff. And when I walked in there, I didn't see him at all. He just left, and so the guy that was working the cashier that night, he goes, "Oh, you just missed Tupac." I said, "Oh yeah, really?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, he bought 40 titty magazines.
He just bought a bunch of porno.
Yeah, but for a while it really kind of messed with me because I knew that Tupac could get girls really easily, and then I figured out what it probably was. I think he was sending them to jail, to friends in jail.
Oh yeah.
That's the only thing that made sense to me. I can't see Tupac needing to look at titty magazines. He could have girls every he could be fooling with 3 different girls every day.
Yeah.
Or all at once.
Oh man. So you have you ever met Tupac in person?
Not really. Not properly. Not the meeting. No, I've been around him, but I never actually met him or had anything to do with him.
Okay. But you've been around all those other motherfuckers.
I've been around a lot of motherfuckers, and then there's a lot of motherfuckers that I wasn't around. So, I mean, being a music person, a passionate music person, means I saw a lot of shit. That's what it means.
What's the craziest shit you ever seen being just alive on the street besides COVID?
Man, I'm drawing blanks right now.
Have you ever okay, let's say in Jamaica, you ever see you ever see anything crazy over there? Or in London?
I'll tell you the craziest thing that ever involved me, and that was I had a bunch of people in the car because this was what things with the people were kind of at the beginning of their careers or one thing or another. People didn't have cars, is what I'm trying to say. The artists didn't have cars. And part of the reason for that was that the record companies in Jamaica didn't pay people at all, hardly. So sometimes they would get $20 or $40 and they'd do an album. Sometimes they'd be promised money and they wouldn't get money. But
so
a lot of times...
So you're saying people do an album for $40?
Yeah.
What?
It was a horrible situation, but the studio owners and the record label owners, and they're pretty much the same people usually. Their attitude was, once you become a hit, then you go out and earn money performing and stuff like that. But they didn't pay royalties, dude. I'm telling you, really super famous people. Once there was one of the biggest artists from the '60s that was on Studio One was having a problem with one of his children. He needed an operation, and he was really in bad shape. So this artist approached Coxsone Dodd in the street and said, "I know we've had a long history together. We've had a lot of success, but I've never seen any money. And I beg you, sir, please give me some money now because I need to get an operation for my child." This is a story I've heard. And the story went that Coxsone Dodd's ass to the ground,
So he beat his ass to the ground?
Yeah, so that's what happened. If you asked for royalties, you were treated like, like you were wrong.
Oh, you're about to get your ass fucking beat. That's kind of like what
Yeah.
that's what like Suge Knight would do, right?
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. I tell you what Suge Knight did
That's a
with,
good
in the
business
music.
model. Just scare the shit out of somebody. It's like, listen, I'll fuck
The
you
thing
up.
that he's known, the thing that he's known for in a business sense was he was uh, he was always uh, on he was always stood on behalf of black people owning their masters. Now that's a positive thing. That's a great thing, for him to stand for, whatever. But he's also responsible for the record companies having security systems where you have to be buzzed in. You know, prior to Suge Knight, you could walk into a record company and announce yourself at the reception desk, and it was like going into the dentist's office. But after people started having violence and people bring guns up in the office and threaten the people that work there and stuff like that, then you had to have security. Nobody could be let in without being buzzed in.
Interesting. So, when you would travel to Jamaica, how long would you stay there at a time?
Different time, different lengths, because sometimes I go down for Island. A lot of times Chris Blackwell, who owned the label I worked for, Island Records, he he was an extremely busy guy. He did a lot of different things. So if he's producing, for example, in the UK, he's producing somebody, he hasn't got time to jump down to Jamaica. So I'll go down there for him, and he gives me a list of things to do. And so that might be a short trip. I might be down there for like 10 days or 2 weeks or something. And then other times, like the year 1975, I believe I was down there about 8 or 9 months. I was there for almost the whole year. So yeah, it varied.
What was your first what was the first Jamaican song you ever heard?
Well, there were a few that were popular on American radio in the late 60s, and it was kind of like top 40 radio. So um, Johnny Nash, who's from here, he had a hit with a song called Hold Me Tight. He's a black American singer, but he went to Jamaica to record the tune, and so they did it reggae style. And so that was the first one. Then Desmond Decker had a huge hit with the Israelites. And then Jimmy Cliff had a big one called Wonderful World, Beautiful People. So there were about 3 or 4 of those that became hits in the U.S. during the 60s. But they weren't known as being reggae tunes. They were just thought of as being pop tunes. Nobody said, here's the latest thing from Jamaica, reggae music. That didn't happen until the 70s. They didn't announce it as being any different than anything else. So I heard those few tunes before I got moved to the UK in 1970. When I got there, I started hearing the word reggae a lot. I started hearing local reggae. Before I heard Jamaican reggae, I heard reggae that came from London, and it was bad. A lot of it was bad. It was like bad pop music with strings, and they were trying to be in the chart and be commercial, and they would take nursery rhymes and say Humpty Dumpty went up the hill and all this kind of stuff. It was just bad.
What the fuck?
And so I didn't like reggae at first when I got to the UK, until I started working for the New Musical Express newspaper. I was writing the 45 reviews every week, and so
What was the name of
I
the
was getting
paper?
tons of reggae 45s for every week. They were putting out all these new Jamaican records all the time, and my rule when I was going through all these records, I would get like 75 records all together every week. My rule was I had to listen to everything, because, if there was something outstanding there by an unknown artist on an unknown label, then I needed to be writing about it. So I made sure I listened to everything all the way through. And by doing it that way, I began to hear the good things about reggae. At first, I would go, "Oh, this guy sings dope. He's kind of like a Jamaican Otis Redding or something." And that's how I first got to like it, because people would remind me of soul music in America that I liked. And then as time went on, I accepted more and more, Jamaican aspects to it, dub music, like all that kind of stuff. And I began to get deeper and deeper. But that's what it was like at first. At first, I would just like it if it sounded like something that reminded me of the U.S.
All right. What do you see in the future of music?
Well, you know what I think is going on right now? See, sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees, but we went through a period for a long time, like 50 years or whatever. If you wanted to record, you had to save up the money or get somebody to support you or endorse you or something. You had to go to a pro studio. Now, the most frequent thing is many of the tunes that you hear on the radio by the biggest people are done in people's homes. So from this era where everybody has a studio in their home, we're getting the opportunity to hear more variety, more in terms of different styles being introduced or whatever. So you have the commercial pop part of it, the Rihannas and Katy Perry's and all those kind of people, but there's like thousands of people in this country that are making music on their own. So that's what I think in the future. I think we're gonna see more of that. We're gonna have more success coming from the private sector in a way, less quote unquote professional. I don't know if music needs to sound professional. Like I'm not one of those people that loves a perfect sounding record. I think Steely Dan Aja is about the only perfect record I like. I like things that have dirt and grime and funkiness about them and stuff. So I'm hoping to hear more of that.
I feel that. What about I don't know, man. What I mean, what? So what the fuck is going on right now in the world? I mean, what are you doing to prepare for? Should we prepare for anything? Is it all like, are they playing a fucking mind game on us right now, or what's happening?
Well, it's kind of like that, but the number one thing that everybody needs to do is keep that light on inside yourself, which is your essence and the things about you that are distinctive and original and all that kind of stuff. Those are the things that, regardless how fascist our government gets, regardless of how crazy the world gets or whatever, you got to keep that. You got to keep the integrity of your essence together, and from that will emerge the truth. The truth will emerge. Your truth will emerge, and then we have an opportunity then for incredible music to come along from that type of vibe. That's how I feel. I feel like without having to use a major studio in order to be heard, or without having to go through a major label to be heard, you can now start the way that you started. Start get your music instruments together, start to release things online, start to build a following. That's all. It's a cottage industry. That's what you're involved with, and I think we're talking on the phone right now because I'm a fan of your version of doing that.
Thanks, man. Well, shit. We got a few people in the chat room talking. We got this dude Derek Hall. He was mentioning Lee Scratch and King Tubby. What was your encounters like with those individuals in the dub reggae community?
Well, let me see. King Tubby, I went to Waterhouse, which is one of the most dangerous parts of Kingston, in 1987, and I had a car full of people with me, and one of them was kind of our host. He was from Waterhouse, so he was kind of acting as a host for us, to a guide kind of thing, to get and he was going to introduce us to two people that have studios in Waterhouse. Waterhouse is primarily a residential neighborhood, but there's two huge producers that have their studios there, and one was Jammies. So he started off being Prince Jammies, and then he became King Jammies. And then the other one was the guy who tutored him, and that's King Tubby, the man who started dub music. So this guy called Little John was giving us, he was our guide. And what the unique thing about that neighborhood is that there's one way in and one way out. And there were, when we entered, there was about four gangster guys who were acting as a guard to the left. They were standing on this little hill. And in Jamaica, it's kind of like Tijuana. They don't really repair the potholes. So it had recently rained, and as I drove through, I hit the pothole, and the water splashed all over the gangster guys. So that was a little bit of an issue. So, I just continued on my way. We went by Jammies. Little John jumped out of the car to go see if Jammies was there, and he was wearing like a t-shirt and jeans. When he got out, I could see he had a gun tucked into his pants in the back. So he goes into Jammies. He comes back. He said, no, he's not there. Let's go down to Tubby's. We went down to Tubby's, and I talked to Tubby's for probably like a half an hour or something like that. I bought a bunch of 45s off of him that he'd been putting out recently. And it was just real dope, dude, just to connect with the guy, the man who created dub music. He was a very, very kind of, quiet-spoken, humble kind of man. When I arrived in the room to see him, he was like wearing a string vest. He was repairing a cheap clock, And I talked to Scientist later on. Scientist was also tutored by King Tubby. And Scientist said that King Tubby only respected engineers that had electrical experience. And so he would, as a test to see if you're good enough to be an engineer in his studio, he would say, here, repair this TV. And if you could do that and do it properly, then he would respect you and allow you to work in his studio. So he was real technical about the electronics and stuff like that. But totally mellow man, really, a cool spirit and stuff like that. So to see him pass away the way, he died in a kind of a violent death, and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible for him to have to suffer like that. So that was King Tubby. And who was the other one that you asked about? Oh, Lee Perry. So Lee Perry, I was working with Island in London. Again, Blackwell he made an appointment to see Lee Perry, but he was too busy to see him. So he asked me if I would see Scratch. So I had a meeting with him. It took like under an hour. He had a couple of albums that he wanted Island to release for him. He left those albums behind. We talked a bit and stuff like that. Then I didn't see him until 1975. This is probably about a year later. I was working on producing the Heptones album at Harry J Studio. We took a break, and I went out to the reception. And so Lee Perry was talking to the studio owner, Harry Johnson, and I just sat down like a fly on the wall, sat down on a couch and listened to the two of them talking. And Harry Johnson, he thanked Lee Perry for naming a tune of his that was his biggest hit. It was called The Liquidator. And that had the original break that they used at the beginning of the song by the Staple Singers called "I'll Take You There," right?
How's that go?
Boom, dum, 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 dum. That line right there was used in this reggae song called "The Liquidator," and then
So,
heard by
so
the
when,
people at Stax Records, and then that became the intro to "I'll Take You There" by the Staple Singers.
I'll
So
take
anyway,
you there. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, Harry J thanked Lee Perry for doing that. And then Lee Perry was talking about he was nearing completion of building the Black Ark. 1975, he wasn't through building the Black Ark, but he was nearing the end of building the studio. And so anyway, those are some of the things I heard them talking about. And so yeah, I've run into Lee Perry a few times. King Tubby, I just met that one time, and that's about it.
So, King Tubby's. So you drove through a spot. You splashed the fucking the badman with the thing, and then so they got mad at you, or what happened?
I don't know what you're talking about. The Lee Perry thing, I just went by and you know, and kind of built with him for a while. You know, somebody introduced me and said this guy is from Island Records or whatever, and so we just kind of chopped it up for a while. But yeah, it was an honor to meet those two guys. I mean, to think that Lee Perry, with his experience in Jamaican music, is still active and alive and doing live stage shows and stuff like that. The guy started when ska music started. You know, he used to be the guy at the dancers that was the enforcer that made sure that the other team, the other sound system, didn't mess with their equipment, because that's what they used to do. If they were having any kind of clash, or if there's any competition between two sound systems being at the same dance, then they would often pull wires and do things like that. And Lee Perry was the guy who defended the Coxsone system. He probably had muscle with him too. But yeah, that's what his original job was in the ska years, was being kind of like the enforcer guy and made sure that nobody tampered with their equipment.
Very interesting. See, we were talking earlier, man. You were talking about having a hip hop radio show. Did you ever discover any cool hip hop artists? Like break anybody? They were like, hey, shit, what I found.
Well, you know, on our show, we had kind of an idyllic show in a way. First of all, it wasn't one or two people. It was more like a crew of people that, you know, teamed together to do the show. So we had B Plus, you know, who's now like a major filmmaker, and you know, he's done like 30 album covers as a photographer. He did the Mos Def, Q-Tip solo albums, stuff like that. So he was on our radio show. We had the Freestyle Fellowship's DJ, Kilu, he was a part of the show. Skate Master Tate, who was responsible for a lot of the samples on the first Cypress album, he was there. We had a girl called Mia, and Mia was kind of like a sexy kind of presence on the radio show. And so at different times, sometimes people, you know, one of those people would interview an artist that came through. We had the original Beatnuts when there was 3 of them. They came through and they chatted. The Freestyle Fellowship came and didn't use a beat. They were just making beats, banging on the table, and then freestyling over that. That lasted like 10 minutes of them doing an incredible rhyming. So we had a real active show. You know, we had Cut Chemist and Newmark come down when they were kids. Like they were very, very young. We had what's his name? The guy that produces he produces G Funk, like Snoop and stuff like that. So we had a lot of people, dude. We had a lot of people come through that show, and then so we established. It was on a station called KWiz, right? KWIZ, and this time was available to purchase. So I paid for the time, and we took 8 to 10, and then because we had a our hip hop thing going. We had a firm base and stuff like that. Some other kids came along and took the time after us from 10 to midnight, and it was the Beat Junkies. So it was J Rock, D Styles, um, Rhetmatic, the original Beat Junkies. Symphony, I think, was one of them at that time. And so they did the show after us. But I never got a chance to see that show because, our whole group of people, there's usually between 6 and 15 people. We would leave the studio and let those guys do their thing. We would clear out. And so I never really got a chance to hear their show that much. But that was the beginning of the Beat Junkies, the very, very, very beginning of them. 92, I believe.
Fucking crazy. So,
Yeah.
So back to we know that you changed your weed smoking regimen. Are you gonna stick with the name Smoking Vinyl, or are you gonna change it to Edibles Vinyl?
Well, first I have to explain that show way back then that was called Smoking Vinyl, and the way the the name represents two things that I'm passionate about. So one is smoking weed, and the other is wax. So that's where the name comes from. And that when I opened up one of these accounts, I think it was Instagram. I couldn't think of what my handle should be, and then I remembered that, and so I've been I reactivated that name and been using it ever since. But yeah, I tell you what happened with me and the edibles is like the challenge when you transfer over to messing with edibles is you have to find what your limit is. And so I got these things that were 300 grams or something, I don't know, and then I started off by eating a couple, and I thought, okay, let's see what happens. So an hour goes by, I don't feel hardly anything, and then I just keep eating them, and so basically what happens is I never get a chance to enjoy the high, because as soon as I get to have a lot of it, it sends me to sleep. And then I wake up and I missed it. I missed the high. I was sleeping. I slept through it.
Yeah.
So what happened to me this one night was I wake up, I'm bombed out of my head at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I never got a chance to feel this good, alert, like awake. I wake up and I go, and everything just felt kind of enclosed, and I go, I gotta go outside. Gotta go outside and get some oxygen. I felt like I was hot and stuff. So I walked out of my bedroom and through the hallway. But what I discovered was I was it really messed with my equilibrium. I was walking like I drunk a gallon of whiskey. Like I I was bouncing off the walls, and by the time I got into the living room, I collapsed on the living room floor. My body weight fell on my knee, and now I've got this thing as big as an apple below my knee. My whole knee opened up. So that's I'm and all of that was through trying to find out what my balance is, or what how many I should be eating.
Well, it sounds like now you just gotta keep eating way more.
Yeah, it takes a lot. It takes a lot for me to get a buzz off of it. So I'll have to eat like half a bag.
a half a bag of like 500 milligrams or some shit.
Gummies, yeah, that's all I was eating was gummies.
Yeah. All right. And you stopped smoking, you said?
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking little hits a day, like 3 or 4 hits in a day, but I don't really count that.
Yeah. Oh, okay, all right, all right. A few hits. Yeah, that doesn't count.
No, See, if you don't smoke very much at all for like 10 days, then it's going to have a lot of impact when you smoke. Like you can just take like one hit and you'll get messed up. So that's where I'm at right now. It's like I don't want to start smoking again for a lot of reasons, but if I can keep that thing going on where I'm like almost retired, but I can still get fucked up,
Yeah. Oh man. So
Speaking of fucked up, how are you doing with that bong?
the bong, oh man, it's taking its toll on me. I'm already like I'm pretty cross-faded, as they say, because I've been drinking wine, a few glasses of wine. I've been going crazy with it. And plus I have some tequila here too that I keep accidentally drinking. I keep not meaning to drink the tequila, but I grab that glass instead of the wine glass. So
I don't know if those two things mix, tequila and wine. I'm not sure it mixes.
yeah, see, so
You can drink a
crossfading.
small amount and you'll be okay, but if you drink a lot, then you might throw up or something.
Yeah, it's not a good mix. I don't know. It was an accident. Like I was accidentally drinking the tequila, but it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta see where it goes. So, what do you miss the most about not being in quarantine?
Well, you know, I, I have a perspective where as I travel through LA, I appreciate the architecture. I appreciate, trees. I appreciate like a lot of things, cars, you know, people, whatever. And, I guess if there's one thing I really miss the most right now, it's probably the ocean because I grew up around the ocean. And so right now, if I had the opportunity to go anywhere, I just want to go to the beach. I just want to see it and smell it and stuff like that, I know some people are doing that, and they're opening some of their beaches and stuff. But I live in South Pasadena, and I don't have a car, so I don't really get an opportunity to get there that much. And in fact, I'm probably going to have to wait until there's a vaccine or something, for before I go. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out.
Are you collecting fun employment right now?
Sorry?
Are you collecting fun employment during this pandemic? The COVID fun employment?
I can't hear. I think what the WhatsApp thing has gone crazy.
Oh
It's
shit.
yeah.
Well,
What I heard about it is that WhatsApp will work for like 10 or 15 minutes, and then it gets like right now. It sounds like you're in China.
is that- can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how about how come you don't just move to the island of Guam? You can go hang out by the beach all day.
Well, see, the thing is, um, it's it's not an impossibility at all because I'm really pretty open. I realized that my before this came along, I was expecting to move outside the country within 5 years, and so that was my plan. But this thing has just delayed my plan. So when you say Guam, yeah, if the U.S. is continuing to look dark, over the next few years, then I'm just going to be forced to go anyway. So I need to make Guam a stop, at least check it out and see what's there.
Well, it is a U.S. territory, so you don't even need a passport to get there. But you can just go there and bring your reggae collection and just spin your reggae records there.
I'm ready to do it.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, who knows? If I fall in love with the region, then I'll look for a place that I can, use as my headquarters, and then travel around the region, play a little bit in, Thailand and different places. If I can do that, I'll do it.
Yeah, it's a good spot. I mean, I know some cats that go out to the Philippines all the time.
Yeah.
And they play reggae nights and all that shit. You'd probably be a smash hit out there.
Well, if there's any kind of agency that helps you get booked at reggae festivals and stuff like that, then you could go down to Tahiti if they have a reggae festival and play down there, and go to Fiji and all that kind of stuff. So I'm totally interested and down for that. My goal is to go to wherever I end up, whether it's Thailand or Guam or wherever. I want to own a small bar, where I can put some equipment in there and DJ when I feel like it. And when my friends come over, they can DJ as well. And then I'd like to have a couple of rooms like above it, so that I can have a room to sleep in, and then the guest, whoever the guest DJ is, they can have a room. So I'm looking for a place like that, and then the income from the bar will pay for all my bills and stuff like that. So that's kind of the thing I'm looking to do, and we'll see if I can make it happen.
If you did that in Thailand, it'd be awfully deep.
See, that's the thing. Like, it's that's the ideal thing for me. Is like, I like the idea of living somewhere that is contrary to the way we live here in the States, and places like Thailand and Cambodia and even Ecuador. If you go down to South America, they're very, very cheap for us to live there. So it makes sense for me. My tastes are pretty simple, pretty basic. I'm not a person that wants to live in a you know in a huge house and drive a flashy car and own a lot of things. You know, uh, I like rustic things. I like simple things. So I'm hoping that one of these places works out.
Yeah, fuck it. Well, shit, man. I don't know what to say. What'd you eat today again?
A $35 Subway sandwich.
It was from Subway.
No, not Subway. It's a sub sandwich from uh, Jersey Mike's.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That's what I had, and unfortunately, I don't really have groceries in right now, and I had like an apple for dessert, so I have the resources to get it, no problem, but I just have to get the act done. I have to make tomorrow. I have to order from. If you order through Amazon, you can get Whole Foods delivered to you. So I've been doing a lot of that during the pandemic, whatever it's called, pandemic.
Yeah. So, do you feel like it's what do you feel about this whole thing? Do you feel like it's a
I kind of like it. I kind of like it because, like I said earlier about the status quo,
I do like it.
You know, when you shake shit up, it's like if you imagine the world being a snow globe, and then you shake it all up. Like, I like the idea of that. I like the idea of the whole mess being turned upside down for a while. There's a lot of things about this country that aren't right, and we're seeing it right now on TV with the Black Lives Matter and that kind of stuff. Like, how does yesterday was a thing in Minneapolis where A guy is in handcuffs, right? The cops got him. He's not struggling or anything. And, you know, I haven't seen all the footage or anything like that. But the next thing you know, the cop is kind of smiling or one thing or the other. He's got his knee on this guy's neck and the guy dies. So we're just living in crazy times right now where there's a lot of injustice out there. There's a lot of randomness going on right now because of Trump and stuff. And at some point, this pendulum has to swing the other way, and things have to settle at somewhere. So I'm just sitting around as an observer for a while to see where things settle or how they settle, and then I'll decide to make my moves. But I'm telling you, I'm very upset in a way with a lot of the stuff that's going on right now, and especially with him as a trying to be a leader when he's not a leader at all. I find it pretty revolting, and me personally, if I was in charge, I would never put him as a president. I would leave him off. So if you have a document on the wall that has all the presidents, I wouldn't put it there. I would say, nah, that was a mistake that somebody made,
Out of your 70 years of experience, who was your favorite president?
President, it's weird because technically they're all politicians, which means that they're not what they seem a lot of times. So, Kennedy was good in certain ways, and Obama was such a great representative. He spoke well, and he spoke in a very unifying kind of way and stuff like that. I like a lot of things about him, but I can't forgive him for us being at war for all 8 years of his presidency. I can't forgive that. There's no answer to that question. Like, who was the best one or the ideal one or anything? In the end, they're all flawed. They're politicians.
Did he kill fucking Osama bin Laden or some shit?
Yeah, he did. And, being the guy that he is, it wasn't a braggart about it. He talked about it in a very matter-of-fact way. We eliminated this guy who was responsible for a lot of American deaths. And he just said it in a matter-of-fact way. Now, if Trump ever did anything like that, you'd never hear the end of it,
Do you really think that he killed Osama bin Laden?
Yeah, I think he probably did. Because, look, the U.S., in terms of our equipment overseas, and, we can see people inside of buildings because we got radar type of stuff. It's like, dude, here's the thing. I mean, I'm talking out of school here because I'm a music guy. I'm not a politician. I'm not a specialist when it comes to, any of the services or anything like that. But as just an outside observer, I think that the times of having large numbers of men go overseas and fight for us, like 150,000 men go to a Middle Eastern country, and first of all, that's not our terrain. They've got the hills, they've got the mountains, they understand the terrain. They can booby trap you. They can lure you into a certain situation or whatever. It's like here's my theory. My theory is you get somewhere between 20 and 30 soldiers of fortune, right? You pay each one of those guys $1 million, and if you do that, you're saving money over 150,000 guys going out there, and you could lose a lot of those guys. Those guys are amateur. They're amateur soldiers. Go get yourself some genuine soldiers, people that can kill 20 or 30 people. Just one guy. One guy can go out there and kill 20 or 30 people. They're professional soldiers, like Navy SEAL type guys. That's what I would say. if you want to take over a country, if you want to eliminate a leader or whatever, just send 20 or 30 experts in there to do the job. Forget about the 150,000 guys. That's a dumb way to fight a war these days, I think.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. It's like, here's like some dudes, you pay them, like, it's like, listen, you're gonna get paid. If you die, your whole family's gonna get paid. Either way.
Yeah, and you give a bonus to the guy who eliminates, like the equivalent to Osama bin Laden, whoever the person is that's causing all the disruption in that country, if it's true. Then that, you give a bonus to that guy. But, how the U.S. Acted after World War II is we kind of became the bullies on the block toward the rest of the world, and that's unfortunate. It's I don't know who was responsible for it. I don't know if it was the CIA or who did what. All I know is, we got into killing other people's leaders and trying to put in capitalist people that would agree with our way and stuff, and just a lot of dirty things happen, and we need to get off of that. And I think we should be more benevolent. We should be working in accord with other countries and seeing what we can do to help them improve their countries in the ways, and then they can probably help us in certain ways. So, I mean, in the past, we've worked out deals so that we can have bases in certain territories, that where, it might help us to, in case we had to be concerned about Russia or somebody else, we have bases somewhere that can help us. So I don't know. Again, this isn't my area of expertise, but,
Hey, fuck it. Who gives a shit? Hey, man. That's pretty cool.
You end up thinking about it.
I mean,
when you watch the news or something like that, and you see these, people coming home in coffins, and you see the families being torn up and disrupted, you realize it doesn't have to happen. We don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to send over hundreds of thousands of people and go through all of that. And again, they're amateur soldiers, So I just think we should get off of that plan and do something smarter.
You just send one Rambo in, and fucking nowadays you can just send a robot in and blow motherfucker up. Like, you don't even have to send anybody.
Well, hey, we're using drones already, so yeah, let's look for those kind of ideas. With a drone, it's different than an airplane because there's not a person involved. So if they shoot down the drone, there's no loss of life. So, I think a drone can help you if you're going to get into a war with someone. And but I don't like the idea of amateur soldiers anymore, man. It probably was never a good idea, but at this point, it's really not a good idea in this. And the other thing that's kind of related to this a little bit is that this virus thing, that it was kind of obvious it was going to get up to 100,000. They thought it was going to reach that before June 1st, and it has. But the entire Vietnam War, which was a huge controversy at the time it was going on, because it drained the U.S. economy of a lot of money to fight that war. They had less deaths in Vietnam than this virus has killed in 3 months. The virus has killed 100,000, and I believe all the people that died over the years in Vietnam came to 80,000. So that's how big this thing is now. This thing in just 3 months has killed 100,000 people. So it's changing things. It's changing the way a lot of things were working before. Like Ford Motor Plant went from building cars to building, things that can help you out with the virus, masks and stuff like that. So, these are changing times where we're going to surface with things the status quo will be different after.
Fuck it.
But what does Bob Marley say? He says, like, if you're the big tree, I'm the small axe. So that may come to truth here in this situation is that the people that felt like they were outcasts before, and I think that there's another song by him called Cornerstone. The stone that the builder refused will always be the key, the head cornerstone, I believe, is what the lyrics say. And that's what easily could happen now, dude. The people that were considered outcasts come into the fore, come to the fore, and maybe they've got a new idea, a new message, a different way of approaching the future of this country. One thing that I think we need to get away from is just the obsession with money. Money, 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 money. It's like you don't have to get so concerned about it. Like I know white people, for example, before they have a kid, they always go, "Yeah, we got to have 25 or 30,000 in the bank before we have a kid." And I always think, go to East LA. There's people over there that have simple jobs and they've got 4 kids. You don't need to be so concerned about money. Just do the right thing. Go. If you want a kid, go have a kid. It always works out. I never heard of anybody having to give up their kid because they didn't have enough money to feed the kid. I haven't heard of that yet. It always works out.
You just have a fucking kid. So have you had any kids?
I have 2 stepchildren, but I don't have any kids of my own.
Does that make it more fun?
Well, it's allowed me to remain more to have an accent in my life that of music and partying and what I mean. Like focusing on the things that I enjoy or whatever. I went through years where I worked for record labels and stuff like that because I was married at the time and I needed to provide for my family. But all those years are kind of behind me now, and I'm allowed to be whatever I want to be and do whatever I want to do. And so I don't know what your question was now.
Oh, I don't even know, man. I'm pretty lit on the wine. Did you get zooted, as you say? What are you smoking on these days?
I got like about 4 or 5 strains. I can't stick to one thing that long. But I'm trying not to smoke any of that hardly. I take a few hits a day, but I'm just trying to. I'm trying to bring edibles into my life, but it's kind of a test issue. You have to kind of experiment a lot to find out what works for you, and I haven't found the right groove yet. Because, like I said, every time I start to get high, I fall asleep. So I'm doing great on sleep, by the way.
I feel that. Wow,
I'm having a couple of naps in the afternoon, So, but I don't sleep well at night. I've never slept well at night, so I guess it works out okay.
Okay. Alright, man. Well, shit. What do you got planned for the future? For your excursions with your record label and all that?
Well, I got this label Eximino, and we also have a record club that's aligned to that. And we finished our first series of records to the record club. And so I'm about to start the second series. I found a pressing plant out of the country that is still pressing. And so I'm going to press 345s and then have a membership drive, hopefully late summer or early fall. And when people join, within a week, they're going to receive the 3 records that were already pressed. And there's the rules of the club in terms of, there's 300 records pressed and no more. And they're never repressed or anything like that. So
yeah.
That they get exclusivity. The members get exclusive, these tracks, these 45s that we make. They're very exclusive to the record club. So I'm about to press 3 of those, and then everything else is just kind of on ice. There's not a lot to do as a DJ. I'm doing mixes for stations in Portland and in Miami. People have requested mixes, so I'm doing that. But DJ work, it's mostly social work. It's not done from home, so we're all kind of biting our fingernails, waiting to see how this thing turns out. But again, I think things are going to change. For me, the last 2 years, I've had a really good gig calendar. The last 2 years, I've had 5 residencies and stuff like that. I've had hotel gigs every week and all that stuff. So I've been doing really well. But when it comes back to those things happening again, I don't think I wouldn't be surprised if I would I'm kind of expecting that I may get half the work that I used to get, just because I think things will change. So I'm going to put a lot of accent and energy into the label because that's an ongoing thing, and then I'll take whatever DJ work I can get.
Oh man. So, holy shit. What if I don't know what to say anymore, dude. I'm pretty zooted, as you would say. This is like,
I think you need a Red Bull or two if you're gonna drive home.
oh fuck yeah, I gotta drive home back to the crib.
Yeah. You need something that will stimulate you, coffee or something.
I think making a beat maybe.
Oh yeah, you should definitely make a beat.
Make a beat all fucked up and shit.
Yeah, you should definitely do that.
What kind of beat?
Well, that's up to you. You're going to be the creator of the beat.
Shit, somebody's gotta do it. Well, thanks for calling in, Danny. I think I'm gonna handle this beat making. Hopefully I don't pass out, but Smoking Scan is still on. I'm watching Smoking Scan, talking to you, making a beat, looking at the chat room.
Well, it's always a pleasure.
Alright, Danny.
All right, sir.
Peace out, man. Hey, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so you were talking to me the other day about Macking. What's your advice as far as like being a Mac? Like how do
A
you
Mac?
yeah, Mac. Like how do you do it?
It
What?
really takes a lot of balls, dude. It's kind of like, if you're an actor or a comedian, you got to get in front of people. I mean, to be a Mac, you have to, and you have to, you have to gain a certain amount of confidence before you do it. And I don't know. I'll tell you in private. I don't want to say it over the radio.
What? This isn't the radio. This is a show with 5 people watching.
Well, basically, I think it's a very subjective thing, and I'm sure there's a lot of different styles that people have, when they do it. But I would say that the most effective way to speaking to someone that you don't know is to kind of be as real as you can be, as opposed to trying to be something you're not, because you're not gonna win by trying to be something you're not. You're just not gonna win. But if you represent who you are, and you can be engaging and you can make them laugh, then you have a chance of making a connection there. So I think that's the best way to go, and then you're also likely to find a kindred spirit, somebody that can relate to you and embrace you and all that kind of stuff. And So that's the only tip I got right now.
Yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna go to sleep on that note. Thanks for
Yeah.
calling in, Danny.
Always, dude. So stay skinny, stay raw, stay dude.
Alright. Peace out.
All right. See you.
Oh, fuck. Alright. That was fucking wild. My throat is dry as shit. I need to get some water. So, I'm gonna put some beats on. I'll be right back. Fuck, so we actually forgot to ask Danny a question. Let's call him up. We forgot to ask him something.
What up?
Danny, smoking vinyl.
Yeah.
We forgot to ask you what the flyer for the show tonight was a photo of you getting your face licked by a woman.
Yeah.
Beautiful from that angle. What was the context of that photo? Like what was going on there?
Well, we started a relationship and we really liked each other, and her name was Evelyn, and she was 22, I was 42.
What?
And my friend B Plus was a photographer, and so we wanted to kind of celebrate our friendship, our relationship, by having him take pictures of us. So that's how it happened. And I didn't know she was going to lick my face like that. I was looking at the camera, and then she suddenly did it. So that's how it happened. I mean, that was my girlfriend for about 6 or 8 months.
6 or 8 months.
Yeah.
How come only 6 or 8 months?
Well, she was 20 years younger than me, and there was, and I just had a lot of baggage. It wasn't anything to do with her, but I came out. That was the first girl I went with after my marriage, and so I had a lot of, different things going on inside of me. So I'm sure it was overwhelming for her to be with me at that point, you know. So I was kind of adjusting from being married to being kind of, more free and available. So, I think it was a burden on her. She was 22 years old, I didn't need to bring her adult problems,
Do you ever keep in touch with her or any other past?
My very first wife, we were together for 23 years, and we still talk weekly. She lives in Jamaica. She calls me, and we stay in touch, and we're great friends. And I would love to be, still have relationships with some of the other girls that I went with. But there was two key girls aside from my first wife that I was really passionate about. So one is the girl that's in that picture licking my face, and the other one I had a 5-year relationship with. And I wish I was still, had a relationship with those girls, but they're not on social media at all. Like, they're just not available. And I'm not willing to, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything invasive. I don't want to pay somebody to get their address and then send them a letter or whatever. I just feel like it's not that hard to find me. So if they wanted to find me, they could just go on social media and contact me. But I have no idea where those two girls are and what they're doing. They just kind of moved on, and so it's kind of unfortunate, but they're not a part of my life right now.
Crazy.
Yeah, that was all back in the 90s. By the time the 90s was over, then my relationship was over with this one girl I had a 5-year relationship with. And then I met the woman that became my second wife, and that lasted 6 years. So that's my whole love life. That's my whole love life right there.
So what would cause the relationship to end?
You know what? When I reflect on those relationships, there was a lot of kind of angst and arguing and stuff like that. And it's the kind of thing that I would not do now. I've only got a little bit of energy, and I wouldn't want to argue, So now I'm at a different place in my life. But back then, I was still being kind of haunted by some things and still trying to figure out some things. And I don't know, I was not at ease with myself. So when you're not at ease with yourself and you're bringing that to another person, it's just not, it's like oil and water. It's not going to work out after a while, no matter how much you may appreciate that person or have passion for that person. I needed to work on me and kind of sort out some things. And eventually I did. It took a long time, but eventually I did. But I tell you, the most incredible thing that could kind of put a ribbon on my whole existence was I always kind of felt like I was an outcast, like I was not really a part of the group. And it started when I was a kid. I never really felt like I was a part of my family sometimes. And then I did one of those DNA tests about a year ago. I found out that my dad wasn't my dad, and so that kind of answered a lot of questions for me, because I couldn't understand why I was treated a certain way or certain things were said or one thing or the other. But once I found out that bit of information, and my parents are both dead, so I found out when I was 69 years old that I was Irish and not Italian.
Yeah.
But at least I found out, and now I'm more at peace with a lot of things than I was, when I was still trying to figure things out, piece it together, try to understand what happened to me and stuff. But I don't know, it's all okay.
So you're Irish.
Yeah, it turned out that I'm 60% Irish, I'm 86% UK. So I'm a little bit Scottish, a little bit English, but it's the ironic thing is that at the age of 20, when I decided to move away, I moved to London, and so that's a very, I'm 86% UK. I went there without knowing that, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is. So you were just drawn there because you were from there.
Exactly, it was in my blood to go there.
Being in the UK, was anything ever creepy out there? It seems like a very creepy place to be.
Well, there's some dark streets at times. There's some dank basements. There's a lot of dank basements in the UK, and that's kind of creepy in a way. I mean, we don't really have too much of that here, but there's a lot of record stores that were in dank locations, and sometimes the records would smell that same kind of dank smell. It's that stuff you get inside of walls.
You got mold?
Mold. That's what it is. Yeah. So that's what makes it smell danky, and a lot of times, sometimes that would get on the records as well. The mold would get on the records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you do about that? How do you fix a moldy record?
I never was that concerned about it. Other people were really jumpy about it, but I don't know. I can't even recall what I did about it, but I wasn't that worried about it. I went and bought books in Hawaii. I got some incredible hardback books, but the reason they were so cheap is because they have mold on them. So I think I kept them for about 10 years, and then somebody stole them or one thing or the other. But yeah.
Fuck.
If you want to get a discount on something, buy something that's got mold on it.
That goes for weed too. Motherfuckers be selling moldy ass weed out here in the streets.
I had no idea that weed could get moldy.
Yeah, dude, you better watch out. Motherfuckers be selling moldy ass weed out there in the streets.
Yeah, they probably sell that at MedMen. Selling the moldy weed.
Is MedMen even around anymore? I don't even know.
Dude, it's the save-on of weed shops. It's big and prosperous, and they have their little shirts that they wear, like golf shirts that says, got weed stuff on there, and then they got they got hoodies as well. I'm tempted to buy one of those things, dude, just to make a statement when you go through town, when you roll through town, I mean, it's not the place where I prefer to buy my weed, but at least it kind of announces, your lifestyle choice.
Yeah,
you know what it's good for? It's good for touring. If you go to Europe or go to Asia or something like that, that's dope to have a MedMen hoodie,
Yeah. I'd say just get some Ross Dude gear.
Ross Dude has the top merch of all. Like, for all the emerging artists right now, Ross Dude has the best merch.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy Chong's got that shit.
Yeah, of course. He knows quality when he sees it, man.
Yeah, he put it on. Tommy Chong, the legend.
Yeah.
He took
Tommy Chong put it on.
he took one shirt off and he put on my shirt because that shirt was inferior to
Yeah.
mine. And then he wore it and he hung out in it for probably the rest of the day.
You got dope designs. You know, your the way you design and stuff. That whole kind of freaky character you created and stuff like that. All that shit's dope, man. It reminds me a little bit of the kind of stuff they used to have back in the early '90s. You know, when you had street clothing, skateboard clothing, all that kind of shit. They used to have that. They used to have that. They used to have a. I can't remember what you call it, but it's like all the manufacturers, a lot of the street clothing would have a thing. It'd go over the whole weekend, you know, and so it's a private thing for them to sell stuff to stores and stuff like that. But I can't remember what they call it. But it's got like 3 letters or something like that. And but dude, we used to go to that when I had my label. I used to roll up with my rappers. Like we went to Stussy. We got a bunch of Stussy. We went to like all those manufacturers. We go there and get kitted out. Like we get shirts, jeans, jackets, hoodies, baseball caps. Like we got all that stuff, you know, because my guys would wear it in on stage or you know, for photos and stuff like that. But yeah, during that era, dude, we like clean those places out.
So you could go in and buy all the clothes and shit.
No, we wouldn't buy. We would.
They would
You
just
know,
give it to you.
Yeah, we'd be sponsored. You know, we get it for free.
What the fuck? With no social media?
No social media, but see, they were in a position where there weren't too many opportunities for their shit to get seen. So, you know, little independent labels, you know, if you had a flavor, if you had something that, you know, that seemed like it was, it might jump off, then they were giving us clothes.
Which brand?
A bunch of them, dude. I'm telling you.
Fubu.
We had Stussy.
Stussy.
We had, oh man, I'm spacing out on the names of them, but, huh?
Fila.
No, see, Stussy was the biggest name, and then the rest of them were all like, you know, smaller companies, but they had dope shit. They had the things we really liked. But I can't remember the names of those things, man. God, you know, oh shoot, I swear I can't remember the names of them. But honestly, 4 or 5 different places we went through. I remember going through with a shopping cart and just throwing things into the shopping cart. Hey, this fits me, one thing or the other, you know. I got clothes out of there, and, you know, I'm not even an artist, but they allowed me to get some clothes too.
I see. Well, shit, man. You know what? I'm passing the fuck out on the show right now, so...
You sound more alert than you did when we hung up before.
Yeah, I know, right?
Are we on the air now?
Yeah, we're still in the air. I mean,
Oh,
you have
man.
anything you wanted to say? About anything? Gives a shit?
Well,
About the cop situation? About the... Hey, you know what? You were telling me about something crazy about it. You knew a Navy SEAL that would rob banks.
yeah. I met a guy who robbed 30 banks in LA and he got away with it. And he was a Navy SEAL. He did it all on his own. But it was a really interesting conversation because I got a chance to just ask him whatever I wanted. So a friend of his that he grew up with, he had this homie that he grew up with, and the guy kind of kind of talked him into turning himself in. Like, he was a more spiritual kind of dude, and he wanted to see the bank robber guy become a more spiritual dude. And so he approached him at this party. They were having a party, and Carmen Electra was downstairs doing blow. He had two Ferraris out in the driveway. He had $2 million in the closet in his bedroom. And then his homie, the conscientious kind of guy, was saying, "This isn't you, man. You got those Ferraris out there, but you like muscle cars, whatever, So he goes into this whole thing, and he just, at first the guy wasn't trying to hear it. He was like he was saying, "Look, man, I've never had money in my life before, and now I've got all of this. I've got $2 million right there in the closet," and but the guy just, kind of chipped away at him and got him to go to this church called Agape, and he got addicted. He went to the church, and he really liked the vibe of the guy and everything like that, and he turned himself in. He went to jail for 8 years. So I asked him, I said, "Did you get claustrophobic being in jail?" And he goes, "Oh no, when I'm trained to be a Navy SEAL, they put you in a coffin for 3 days to see if you can take it. And then if you can't take it, then you can't be a Navy SEAL." So he said, "I was already used to that from the training." And then I asked him, like, "Where'd you park on the first robbery you did? Where'd you park?" He said, "About 50 feet in front of the bank." And I said, "Well, and then he told me that when he left the bank after he did the robbery, he knew how much territory the cameras covered on the outside of the bank. He knew the kind of cameras they were, and he knew how far that they would cover. So what he did was he came out and he walked along the side of the building where the cameras could see him, and he acted as though he was going to go to his car in the back. But what he actually did was he doubled around and went beyond the where the camera can see, and then he went back to the front of the building. And then he said he went from there up to Elysian Park, and he found just a small parcel of land up there where he could be have privacy. And he brought out the cash. I think he had somewhere like $40,000 or $50,000, and he said he just never saw that much money and held it in his hands ever. This guy's an African American dude, and so probably for the first time in his life, he had the chance for opportunity. Once you have money, you've got the opportunity to do things.
He was in special forces, though, like Navy SEAL. Don't those guys get paid a shitload per year?
I don't really know. He never spoke on that, But what he said was basically is he got addicted to the robbing banks because it was so easy for him, and they never caught him. Like, you're not supposed to talk about stuff like this, but if you watch the news in LA, they never mention anything about bank robberies in LA, hardly at all. You know why? Because there's 30 a day, and the amount that gets solved is like 20%. So 30 times there's bank robberies going on in LA in a day, and 80% of them get away with it.
That's fucking crazy. Just banks in particular.
Oh, yeah. I don't see how they get away with it. I mean, I walked into my own bank one time, and I'm wearing my normal gear. So I'm wearing a baseball cap, shades, a hoodie, everything like that. And this girl who's a teller was looking down. She was like putting something away or something. She looked up and she went white. She went completely pale. And she didn't talk to me at first. And so, I told her what I was there to do. And she goes, "I'm sorry, but I thought you were a bank robber." And now there's a notice on the door of my bank now. It says, "No baseball caps, no sunglasses, no this and no that. And every time I go there, I'm wearing exactly what you should not wear. But the only difference is I've actually asked them. I said, "Is it okay, for me to wear what I'm wearing in here?" And they go, "Well, we know you, so there's no problem." And basically, I'm the old man who's dressing like a 17-year-old kid from the '90s. That's kind of my style, I guess. But so I'm not going to be mistaken for a robber by them. They know me.
Yeah. Hey, so through your 70 years of experience, have you ever seen anything like weird or like paranormal or like a UFO or?
Yeah, I've seen the UFO once or twice. There's no big story to tell, but I wasn't on acid or anything like that. But the most unusual one, I think, was I was with my family. We rented a cabin in Big Bear or Lake Arrowhead, somewhere up there, and so it's a relatively small cabin, and there's an upstairs. There's stairs leading upstairs to where there's a couple of beds, and so I was there with my wife and my son, and they were both sleeping, and I've never really slept well at night, so I'm up in the living room part down below, and I can't remember what I was doing, but I heard some noise. I know what got my attention. What got my attention was there was some creaking in the stairs, and it sounded like somebody was walking down the stairs. So, I looked all around, and expected to see, either my son or my wife, and nothing. So, and then about 5 minutes later, I hear some more walking on the stairs. I get up again. I don't see anything. And then the third time, I got up. I walked to the bottom of the stairs, and I looked up, and there was an image of someone, like a physical image of a person. It was a woman, and she was transparent. I could see through her. It was like a ghost, So that's the most profound thing that I experienced. But I got kind of spooked, like, should we stay here or should we leave or whatever? But there didn't seem to be this spirit didn't seem to be like it didn't seem to be violent or unsettled or anything, So we just stayed there and nothing bad happened.
So you heard this thing walking, then you go into the room, then you look at it. What did it look like? I mean, like, what was she dressed like?
Well,
she naked or like?
No, she wore a long dress. I mean, I guess it looked kind of, not in fashion according to our times. So, I guess it looked like something from the 1930s or something. I don't know.
Where was this?
Where it was like Lake Arrowhead.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little cabin, So, but she was at the top of the stairs, and she was wearing a dress, and
was it sexy?
She seemed to be
Was
normal.
she sexy?
Sorry?
Was she sexy?
No.
No, she wasn't sexy at all.
No, I would say a little more matronly, like maybe older, like the kind of woman that would have been a nurse in the old days, like, like a 60-year-old nurse or something. She kind of looked like that. Not hot in any way.
Oh, damn.
But
that's terrible.
Yeah, that's about the only thing that happened like that to me. But it didn't manifest into anything that was that was disturbing.
Yeah. People are talking about the riots. Are you seeing the riots going on right now?
No. What's happening?
Well, motherfuckers are burning buildings down right now. It's getting fucking crazy.
Are you joking?
No, people are burning fucking buildings down. I don't know if it's in LA, where the fuck it's at. But,
I think they must have listened to your radio show and heard us talking.
Did you see what happened in Los Angeles though?
I saw the march that they had today,
On
and
the
that they
freeway.
stopped traffic on the 101, and that's all I saw.
Yeah. I don't know if those guys are burning the freeways down and are like all kinds of shit right now or what, but you know.
Let's kill as many as 50.
What
50 people.
what channel is it on? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know. I'm watching Smoke and Scan right now on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, live broadcasting. I got the homies feed on right now. It looks like there's a lot of shit on fire, man. And wherever the fuck these people are at, there's a lot of shit on fire.
Damn.
And it was like FTP, fuck the police.
What's his Earl again?
Was that?
What's his Earl?
He's on Twitter as at Smoke and Scan, I believe.
Yeah, I don't have Twitter though. I'm not using Twitter.
I think or it's on YouTube. It's also on YouTube. Smoke and Scan.
Oh. Okay, I'll look for that.
SMOKEN scanned
Okay.
instead of and. Yeah, go check it out. Shit's on fire right now.
Yeah, I'll check it out right now.
All right, peace out, Danny.
All right. See you soon, brother.
All right. Oh, fuck. This shit is fucking on fire. The city is on fire. What city is it? I do not know. But we're watching Smoke and Scan over here. Guess watch Smoke and Scan and make some beats. Here we go. We're gonna make some beats, people. Pretty wasted. Pretty sloshed, as the kids would say. But let's see. We got some beats playing in the background. They're pretty cool. So we've been listening to a few records. We were listening to some music for babies, newborn babies between the ages of like 0 to like 3 months. It was very chill music. It was like super duper chill music. Kind of like it was a combination of a few old school synthesizers, like the Complex One modular synth that we have right here. Ooh, that hurt my fucking ear right there. So we have that Complex One sequenced. Yeah, really chill shit like that. Alright. Target dollar store and more in Minneapolis, Minnesota. You live 1992. Filthy Agent 36. Katie, Yoga Diesel, Omar Torres, Besnitza. All you bad motherfuckers, what's cracking? We're watching some riots go down while people are burning the cities down, old school style. So we have a cool patch right here. We're gonna see how it's routed. Alright. Alright. There's a lot of people on there's a lot of people in the streets. There's a lot of crazy shit happening. I'm gonna say stay the fuck at home. I don't know, stay at home, go out, fuck shit up. Listen to that. Alright, so we got something going on here. Wow. Look at this shit. The city is on fire, ladies and gentlemen. What the fuck are we supposed to do? The city's on fire, the virus has taken over. I think I'm a little too wasted. I should just go back to sleep. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go to sleep. Hopefully, I don't wake up and the city's on fire. I don't know where the fuck this fire's at, but that does not look good. That does not look safe. Do not be wherever the fuck that is. That's just a little much right now. You know, what the fuck is supposed to... What did they expect was gonna happen? Look at that shit. Everything's on fire. So, Skinny Pablo, probably just gonna peace out. We're gonna make more beats later this week. That was just a good little talk with Smoking Vinyl. We're gonna have more cool guests on. Tune in Friday. We're gonna be doing a live beat set. We're also gonna be making some beats and just talking some shit. Who knows? So tune in. Make beats, not war. Next time. Skinny Pablo's gonna pass out right now. Wow, we're approaching the 3-hour mark. Okay. Alright, yep. Peace out, everybody. SkinnyPablo.com, rossdude.com. Don't forget all that good shit. To the Smoking Scan. He's still going. I'm too fucking wasted, so I'm gonna watch Smoking Scan. Peace the fuck out.